buds, and welcome to episode 36 of the Harsh Vocals Podcast. I'm your host, Justin Corbett, and with me is my good friend, Christian Renner. How are you today, man?
Pretty good. All about the metal. Let's do this. Yeah.
So it's been another couple of pretty good weeks. A lot of solid but not amazing albums, and then two of the strongest albums we've had all year. So a great mix of stuff this entire cycle. And like I said, two that I've just absolutely loved that we're going to talk about in a lot of detail. But the topic for this episode is going to be talking about labels, meaning record labels and their usefulness in modern music, I guess. Mm-hmm. But we're going to come back to that after we talk about all the new music. So I guess just let's dive in. So the first band we're talking about is one that Christian is bringing to the table, and this is the band Reject the Sickness.
Yeah, we have the band Reject the Sickness. The album is called Signs of the End. This is mellow death / there's a little bit of metalcore in there and just a touch of thrash, I think. They're from Ghent, Belgium. This is their fourth album off of Mighty Music. They've been around since 2007. The track that I picked When I Become You. And is just, again, that main riff in the groove section, holy fuck, it is so good. If there's a song that has that, I'm more than likely going to pick it. And this is a band that has some of the best groove sections, guitar-wise, I think I've ever heard. The way the guitars are layered in their groove sections, I guess I get a lot of feelings of At the Gates in there with them.
I hear a little of that
especially in the groove sections. And I mean, I know I say this a lot, but this here's a band that just keeps getting better and better since their debut in 2015. Not a weak album in their entire discography, but damn, this album I thought was an absolute banger and easily their best album. Just simply an album that borders on easy listening as far as metalheads are concerned. Very easy album to like, and a very easy album to get stuck in your playlist. And that's kind of what you're shooting for. I mean, is this going to reinvent the wheel or anything? No, it's not. But if you're just looking for a good album to listen to as you're headed down the highway, driving to Kansas City to go see Sidon, this will work.
Very specific.
This will definitely work. Yep. Yeah,
I like
fantastic
this one too.
album. Yeah.
I didn't spend a whole lot of time with it. I listened to it once and I was like, oh yeah, that's really good. And then you said you were going to pick it most likely. So I was like, okay, well, I don't need to devote as much time to it. And to be honest, my number one pick for this episode, I've already heard it upwards of 70 times. So I didn't have as much time. My
number one is right there.
To dedicate to the other albums anyways. But I did listen to this 3 or 4 times overall. It's a very strong album. Like you said, easy listening is how I would kind of classify it too. It's not challenging. It's not doing anything very new. It's just a fun album. Lots of groove, lots of melody. It's pretty good. So if you like that kind of mellow death, I think you'll enjoy this too.
I'd be shocked if you don't.
All right, well, let's go ahead and play the track. Again, this is Reject the Sickness off of their album Signs of the End, and the track is called When I Become You. Hope you enjoy it. Yeah, I do like that main riff in that one. It's pretty good.
Yeah. And oddly enough, every single track that I picked this week for all 3 albums is track number 6, which is kind of weird. So it's 666.
Hail
That's metal as
Satan.
fuck. Yeah, goddamn right. I need to give Nurgle a call.
Yeah. All right, well, moving on. My first pick of the episode is a band called Crust. They put out an album called Where Light Fears to Descend. This is black/death/doom/sludge with a little bit of noise. But these guys are from Russia. And this is their 6th full-length album since 2014. They're on Moribund Records. So this is kind of like one of those albums where there's a lot of different kind of sounds going on. Some songs are way stronger than others. Some are excellent, though. This one that I'm going to play for you guys is called Premeditation of Evils. Lots of great lead guitars. There's a really strong riff that goes throughout this one. A lot of vocal style changes. I thoroughly enjoyed it. It's really kind of hard to evaluate this album, though, because they're definitely having a little bit of an identity crisis since they incorporate so many elements. But overall, I thought it was really good. It is from the first week of the cycle, and it's one that I went back to probably 10 to 12 times. But I really enjoyed it, and I hope you guys will too. What'd you think of this one, Christian?
Yeah, I think I didn't like it as much as you, simply because Doom is hard for me. I'm a big thrash fan, so I love speed. I like speed metal. I like power metal. So anything doomy, it's really going to have to be something that stands out. And this one here, like, it wasn't filled with doom. So don't get that wrong. This is not a doom album. But the doomy songs on here, I was just not a fan of. And if you have 2 or 3 songs that I'm not going to be a fan of, I just can't make it a pick. So that's easily the only issue that I had with it. I'm not a fan of the doomy sections. So yeah, I thought it was good, but not great. For me, it would have been an honorable mention. But different strokes for different folks.
Music is subjective, and that's the beauty of it all.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, with the doom metal stuff, like, it's very hit or miss for me too. It's like there's a lot of bands that call themselves doom metal that I don't like at all because they're way too slow. Like, if you incorporate other stuff, if you're primarily a black/death metal band and you have some doomy passages, I enjoy that a lot. I don't inherently dislike doom metal. I just don't like an abundance of doom metal. It becomes too much very quickly for me. Whereas if it's peppered in, I really love it. And that's kind of what it is with this album. Like, there are places that are doomy, but it's not the whole album. In fact, the track that I picked is primarily a black and death metal song. So it's maybe not the best indication of what the entire album is because there is a lot of diversity here. But if you like this one, I highly encourage you to check out the full album because your tolerance for the slower bits may more align with mine tastes than Christian's.
Just so the listeners understand, I don't hate doom. It's just very limited in what I like. Like, I love Black Sabbath, and Black Sabbath is the originators of doom. I love how they do it because not everything is slow, and like they'll have slow passages and then it just speeds up, which I can dig that.
All right, well, let's go ahead and play the track. Again, this is Crust off of Where the Light Fears to Descend. That's a great title, by the way. And the track is called Premeditation of Evils.
Those who play
Did you like that track?
Yeah, I like that one.
Okay. Yeah, I really like that one a lot too. Like I said, I enjoyed the whole album. I hope you guys check it out because even though these guys are on their 6th full length, this is my first exposure to them, and they're pretty good. I went back and listened to their last album too, and I liked it just as much. So definitely at least give these guys a shot.
I definitely have a little bit of a blind spot when it comes to Russian bands. I don't exactly know why that is, but it seems like you don't hear about them.
Part of the problem is that almost every band that comes out of Russia has Russian script as their band name, and you can't find it. I mean, you can find it on Metallum, but like trying to search for it on Spotify or Apple Music or Tidal or something, we don't have the right keyboard to do that. So I do appreciate that these guys are just called Crust, because there's only like 2 or 3 bands named Crust, and it was pretty easy to figure out which one it was.
Like, I can't remember the band's name, but again, they had that Russian script, and they're a traditional metal band. And apparently they're huge because they had like 14 albums or something, and just traditional metal. Huge in fucking Russia. I heard it for the first time, and I actually did a deep dive, and I was like, fuck, how have I never heard of these guys? I mean, they're like on their 15th fucking album. And it's the same thing. It's just, you don't hear it because, fuck, I can't even type that in. Yeah. So what are you going to do?
I like when there are bands that are in a different language, when there's also like an English equivalent that you can look for on Metallum and stuff. Like Hoplites from last year was a really good example. I couldn't tell you what the Chinese characters are for that, but I can look up Hoplites and find it. So I mean, it's really useful when bands.
A lot of the Chinese and Japanese bands will have their name in Chinese or Japanese, and then in parentheses they'll put the American version of that. So at least it's searchable that way. I've run into that a couple of times when I'm making my playlist for the week. So at least you can still find it that way.
Yeah, try to do what you can to make your bands easier to find for people, because we want to listen to them. Like, if you're putting all the effort into making the music, you shouldn't make it so hard to discover.
Don't purposely misspell shit. That makes it more difficult. And quit using V's as U's.
Unless you're True Cult, in which case, okay.
Yeah, I guess you have to. I think that's a rule.
Well, moving on. Next is a band that we've both kind of described as the black metal kitchen sink band, because you can throw anything into it and you never know what to expect. This is the band And Oceans, and it's one of Christian's picks.
So we have And Oceans, and the album is the Regeneration Itinerary. We have symphonic black metal, along with, you could throw a bunch of other shit in here too. There's some industrial, there's some, I would not be surprised if you found some, I don't know, sludge, or who the fuck knows. There's all kinds of shit in here. They're from Pietarsaari, Finland. This is their 7th album from Season of Mist. This is one of the very first things I wrote down here is this is exactly how you produce a symphonic black metal album. Everything is fucking crystal clear on this album, and even the quieter moments feel fucking enormous. This is just a great sounding album. This is a band that I've liked since I heard The Symmetry of I way back in 1999. But I have to say, I feel like they've gotten exponentially better since they reformed back in 2017. Earlier in their career, they were a lot more industrial. And like on the album Amgod, AMGOD, there's a lot of industrial in that. And there's even some sections in there that, like, you could probably say is electronic music with what they were doing. And I have to say, since they've reformed, I think they're exponentially better. This is one of those bands that I always look forward to a new release, and mainly because you just never know exactly what you're going to get. You're going to get black metal, you're going to get some industrial touches, but you just never really know. Mm-hmm. And I mean, if I heard that this band was working on some sort of polka, thrash, hip-hop hybrid album, I would seriously say, that kind of tracks, I'll give it a shot. Because you just never know. Because they could probably make that sound good.
Over the last 2 years we've been doing the show, Christian, you've been just like thirsting for good symphonic black metal. And there hasn't been anything. Like there's no
Demu. God damn it.
There'll be like one or two per year that scratch that itch for you, but there has not been a lot. No. And so when this came out, I immediately knew it was going to be a pick for you, like right in your wheelhouse. And don't get me wrong, I absolutely love And Oceans. I've been a fan forever. This album, I would say I love 80% of it. There's 20% that just doesn't really click with me in the right way, and I'm not sure what that is. Maybe it's just I didn't spend enough time with it. I probably gave it 10 listens or so. It was definitely overshadowed by your next pick, in my opinion. But it's still a very, very strong album. I just liked the last one better. I think Asengard So Entombs was not quite as polished, and that little bit of rawness to it resonated better with me. Whereas this one is extremely polished and very well produced. And like, while I do like that most of the time, I don't think is what I went into it expecting because of their last album. And so even though I thoroughly enjoyed most of it, it just didn't really make me as excited as the other albums we're going to talk about, I guess.
I mean, I think it's a perfect thing, what you just said about me thirsting for those symphonic albums. Mm-hmm. And I didn't think about that, but yeah, that could very well be, because the production in this really heightens that symphonic feel.
Yeah.
And so that could very well be why I like this so much. And I didn't even mention the track that we're going to play. The track that I picked is The Fire in Which We Burn. And
it's another great title.
Yeah. And this one here, it's just the overall feel of this song that just gets me every single time. And again, it's everything included in here. Probably it's what you're saying. Yeah, it's just a great song.
It's one of the shortest and most aggressive tracks on the album, too. It's probably my favorite track on the full album.
Yeah, it's easily my favorite as well.
The funny thing for Man Oceans, though, even Asengard So Entombs, they came out in 2023. That ended up in my top 15 for that year, but it didn't start there. It was an album that grew on me slowly throughout the year from listening to it over and over again. And I feel like with the new one, Regeneration Itinerary, it might be a similar pathway towards my end of the year list. It's definitely a band I love. Like I said, I like most of it. I will definitely return to it over and over throughout the year and see if my ear clicks with it better as time goes by. Just in my initial listening, though, because there was a couple of albums that are just magnitudes better than it, it didn't make a pick for me, but it certainly could by the end of the year.
I could see if you were to get this on vinyl, because like I said before we started the show, I've listened to it twice on vinyl now, and it's, again, exponentially better on vinyl. And
I'll do that anyways because I love the band and I like supporting them. So yeah, I'll definitely get it on vinyl and give it a shot that way. And maybe that'll be what it takes to change my opinion.
It could very well be. And it's kind of odd that we say that, because obviously digital is much higher quality sound-wise. But like we always say, there's just something about vinyl. So the dedicated listening that you're doing, I think, makes a big difference. So,
yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Hopefully you all like the song.
Yeah, let's go ahead and play the track again. And Oceans off their latest album, The Regeneration Itinerary, and the track is The Fire in Which We Burn.
that's aggressive. I gotta
I love
that.
it.
Yeah.
It's good stuff.
And again, there were a couple of songs that were in my possibilities as a pick for the track. And I mean, honestly, I just picked the shorter one because this one here is just a killer song. That main riff in there is just awesome. And I just love this band. So here we are.
And speaking of bands we love that are also very aggressive, next up is my pick, and it is The Haunted. So if you're not familiar with The Haunted, I don't know where you've been for the last 25 years, but they're melodic death / thrash / groove from Sweden. This is their 10th full-length album since 1996. It's been 8 years since Strength in Numbers, so quite a while between the last album and this one, but I feel like this one is a return to form for them and just such a killer album from beginning to end. If there's any nitpicky complaint I have, it's the last track on the album is not as good, and they have a lot of like sampled spoken word stuff kind of put into it, and I don't really love that, especially if it's overused. It is a bit overused in that song, but my God, every other song is just a fucking banger. Risk for Days, hyper-aggressive lyrics, hyper-aggressive vocal delivery. I love this. I've been a fan of The Haunted since Made Me Do It way back when, and they've cemented themselves as one of my all-time favorite bands over time. So it's cool to see them come back with something this good.
Yeah, I feel about The Haunted the same way as I do with like Necrophobic. You know how like I like every single one of their albums. Like there isn't an album I don't like. And on this one here, yeah, I like every single song on here except the last one, and I just got to shut it off on that one.
But props to them for putting it as the last song. They knew that some people weren't going to like it, so they put it at the end, so you can just stop listening there, and that's the way to do it.
The song reminded me so much of the song Forensic, but on Forensic, that works. But it almost felt like they were redoing that song. And if you're going to re-record that song, I'm in. But if you're going to do a song that's very similar to that one, you're just recreating a song that you've already written and just putting a different name on it, which I don't like. Plus, again, the sampled spoken word kind of stuff. And yeah, just not a fan. But yeah, this is easily a 9.5 out of 10.
Despite that last track. Like you can... Yeah. The fact that it is the last track is so smart because it's going to be something that a lot of people don't click with, but you don't have to because you can just turn it off the track before.
Yep. So
that's the way to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. Even if you wouldn't have made it a pick, I would have made it a pick. Even despite that, as much as I dislike that last song, it just tells you how strong the rest of the album is.
Yeah, I think we're in agreement with that for sure. So, all right, let's go ahead and play the track. Again, this is The Haunted off of their album Songs of Last Resort. And the track that I picked is called Unbound. I honestly could have picked any single track to play except for the last one, and it would have been a great representation of the album. This one was my favorite song, basically. So I thought it was a good choice.
Alrighty. For my final pick, on the albums that I do really deep, in-depth listening, multiple listens of, I also do a track-by-track rating to try and help me, especially score the album, and which will make things a lot easier when we're doing end-of-year lists and shit like that. And this one here, it's the highest-rated album that I have this year. And the album is Walg, W-A-L-G. This is album number 5, so it's just V. They just number all of their albums, so you have 1, 2, 3, 4, and now 5. This is melodic black metal from Groningen, the Netherlands. Like I said, this is their 5th album. They're on I'm going to butcher this. They're on a label called Zwart Gewekt.
That's pretty good.
I assume that's it. And I've never heard of this label before, so I actually looked them up. And man, apparently they really like black metal because they have 37 black metal bands on their roster. And I think there's 1 death metal band and 37 black metal bands. That's kind of crazy. The track that I picked is Zeal Celine. Is that how you would say it? Zeal
That's
Celine?
how I'd say it. Yep.
And very close to a perfect album for me. And this is just one of 9 songs that I could have picked. I seriously could have picked any of them. We have 5 albums in 5 years, and all with this incredible quality. These guys aren't kicking out albums with nothing to say. The level of quality here is just simply stunning. Every single one of their albums is excellent. And this being the newest, I always tend to feel like it's always their best.
It is their best. I've been a fan of them since 3. I think 3 is where I discovered them. I've listened to 1 and 2, and they're both very good.
That's about where I was at.
3 was really good. 4 was even better. 5 is even better than 4 was. These guys are growing at a crazy rate. To think 5 albums in 5 years, and they're putting out something of this level of quality that consistently, it's just so impressive. So impressive.
Yeah.
My scoring system may not align completely with Christian's, and I don't think that this is my album of the year by any stretch, but I do feel like it is the second best black metal album that's come out this year, only behind Natverd, and those two are very close to each other. This is exceptional across the board, and if you like melodic black metal at all, you owe it to yourself to check this album out because it really does not get much better than this.
Yeah. I mean, one thing that I've noticed throughout all of their releases is, and I wish more bands would do this, is they have an absolutely perfect level of self-editing. This is now 5 complete albums that don't even have what you would consider a hint of bloat. As a matter of fact, there's probably some songs that I'd be like, man, I kind of wish that one was a little bit longer. So everything sounds like hours were taking thinking about every little bit of every single song. I can confidently say that this album will end up very highly on my end of year list. And it is just because of that. And I mean,
it's most certainly a top 10 album for me too. I mean,
yeah.
We're already hard at work on our mid-year best of lists, and the next episode is going to be our discussion about current mid-year best of. And right now, Walg is in the top 10 for me. Christian just said it's his number 1. I mean, that's extremely high praise because there's been a lot of great stuff that's come out this year. Yeah.
Up until I heard this, I would have told you Halo Effect was going to be my number 1. I mean, it might still be just because this is my highest ranked. It may not necessarily be what I enjoy the most. I really like that Halo Effect album. I mean, there isn't a single time where I can't throw that on and not, enjoy it. But Walg is right there too. I mean, Jesus Christ. I listened to this easily 50, 60 fucking times in the last week to 10 days,
2 weeks.
Whatever it's been.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just crazy fucking good. There's no 2 ways about it.
Yep.
And I mean, it's actually kind of funny because Black Metal Promotion on Facebook put their album up and did their little blurb thing, and I happened to comment on it saying, yeah, this album is just stunningly good. And they actually answered and said, well, thank you, high praise. So they're definitely aware. I don't know. I'll probably send them a link to the show when it goes live.
And if they're interested in coming on and talking about the album, I'd love to do that too. So, yeah.
So would I. I would just like to hear the writing process. Like 5 albums.
The level of output, I mean, I got to wonder how they do it every single year.
That's crazy.
Yeah. All right, well, let's go ahead and play the track. Again, this is Walg off of their album V, or 5. And the track that Christian picked is called Zeal Saline. What a beautiful piece of music.
Yeah. And I mean, the whole album is just that way. I mean, you can listen to it from the beginning to the end and not a
it's
moment.
It's epic. It's aggressive. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
There's so many descriptors we could throw at it, but at the end of the day, it's just excellent. So,
yeah. I mean, just put it this way. It got out of 10, it got a 9.6 from me. And
wow.
Halo Effect is a 9.4. If that kind of tells you anything, this is just plain and simple, my highest rated album of the year so far.
Awesome. Well, definitely check it out, guys.
Yep. Unfortunately, sold out on vinyl. So, hey, guys, if you're hearing this, let me know where I can buy one.
Yeah, I'd like one as well, to be honest. I have 4, but not 5. All right, so moving on, my final pick of the episode and an album that I would absolutely consider to be the second best death metal album to come out this year so far, only behind Dormant Ordeal, Puterion, Mountains of Madness. So this is my first exposure to Puterion, even though they've been around for a long time. They started in 2008, and this is their 5th album. It's death metal from Sweden with some progressive elements and a lot of melody, a lot of groove. Their whole thing is that they base all of their albums on Lovecraft stories. It's all very inspired and conceptually organized according to Lovecraft stories. And going back and listening to their previous albums, because I did a deep dive and heard their entire discography, there's a lot of great tracks all the way on their first 5 albums, but they have leveled up tremendously between album 5 and this one. Mountains of Madness, from the beginning, is just a masterpiece. Track 1 is a masterclass in how to do an instrumental intro track, and I wish every other fucking band in existence would listen to this and use it as a template for how to do an intro track, because at 2.5 minutes long, it's fun and exciting, and the tempo changes a whole bunch, and it's exactly what an instrumental track should be. And at the very end, there's just the tiniest little bit of spoken word that's pulled directly from a Lovecraft story that leads you into the storyline of Mountains of Madness. And it feels like a real expedition. I mean, the beginning of the story is the Miskatonic expedition going through the Arctic wastes. It feels like treacherous and, frozen and cold and unforgiving. And you get all that just from the instrumental part of it. And then you get thrown into the actual music, and holy shit. Like, I love Lovecraft stories. I'm a huge horror fan, have been my whole life. I mean, I understand the problematic side of Lovecraft, but he also existed in the 1920s when everybody was a little bit problematic. So it's a lot more forgivable, in my opinion. Story-wise, though, he's inspired everything in the modern horror genres. And taking something like Mountains of Madness and conceptualizing it and turning it into a bunch of different songs that work together and flow together super well is a very challenging thing to do, because hundreds of bands have attempted it, and most of them have not done a very good job.
Yep.
There are not a lot of good Lovecraftian themed bands out there. The Great Old Ones is pretty good. Puterion has done it better than anybody else ever. This is the best Lovecraftian inspired album I have ever heard in my entire life, and one of the best death metal albums I've ever heard in my entire life. Every single song, just amazing riffs from beginning to end. So much groove. Like, I find myself headbanging even after 70 listens to the entire album. Like, I can't help it. It's just so infectious, and it sticks with you. Every single song's memorable. I'm just blown away at how good this is. This is currently my number 3 album of the year, and if I keep listening to it at the rate that I am now, it might even overtake 1 and 2.
I could see it from what you were talking about the last couple of weeks. I mean, the thing that caught me about this album is a lot like with the Walg album, and there's so much going on here, but nothing at all feels even remotely out of place. This is simply one of those albums that gets better and better each time you listen to it. You'll find little bits and pieces that maybe you missed the first time around, and then you'll notice it the second time, and then, it just keeps going that way. I'll be absolutely shocked if this does not end up very high on my list, and I didn't like it as much as you did. I like the Walg album better, but yeah, this is still going to end up really high. This is easily
I honestly
top
can't,
10.
I can't get enough
10.
of it. Like, when I'm not listening to it, I'm thinking about listening to it. When I'm listening to other albums, I'm like, this is not as good as the Puterion album. I should go listen to that. And then anytime I have free time, this is what I've been putting on for the last week. It's completely consumed my mind, which is rare for an album to do. Typically, even if I love an album, the most I'd give it is like 30 to 40 listens in a cycle. But this one's double that almost. And I'm still not done. Like, I have such a thirst for this album. It doesn't get much better than this. So
yeah, I could see that.
Let's go ahead and play the track. Again, this is Puterion, Puteraeon, off of their album Mountains of Madness. And the track that I chose to play is called Gods of Unhallowed Space. As Christian likes to say, fuck that riff.
Yep. Such a great song. And I was actually kind of wondering exactly. I even texted you earlier this week wondering, like, how the fuck do you say that?
Yeah.
I was like, Pewteron or fuck?
I'm not sure. I might have it wrong. I mean, for years I called Allegion Allegion, and then I got corrected by the old vocalist of the band. So, I mean, I could be saying it wrong. And if I am Pewterion, please reach out and tell me, because I'd like to make sure I get it correct. But regardless, the music is phenomenal. Thank you so much for making this album, because it is exactly what I was hoping to get this year. And I've got my vinyl on the way. I can't wait for it to get here.
Well, since I'm the old guy here, I'll just go with Pewter Eon. How's
Pewter
that?
Eon.
Pewter.
Sure, why not? I mean,
I'm on my pewters. I'm on my pewters.
All right, well, that does it for our picks. Let's go ahead and talk about our honorable mentions real quick. Christian, what do you got?
All righty. We'll start out with a band called Animalize. Their album Verminator, as in like Saboteur, but Verminator. This is heavy metal from Lyon, France. Their second album from Dying Victims Productions. If you like Striker, Enforcer, Wolf, any of those traditional metal bands, you're going to find something to like here. They're super catchy. Yeah, just easy to like. Then we have a band called Deraps. Viva Rock and Roll. This is heavy metal from the second album from Metalville Records. I think they're from California. If you would tell me that this is some missing Van Halen music, I would absolutely fucking believe you. And of course, like what I just said, this is for fans of Van Halen or any heavily guitar-oriented hard rock heavy metal band. This guy can play a fucking guitar. Just stunningly fucking good on guitar. Then we have the band Brutal Sphincter. I'll give you 3 guesses what kind of music they play. And,
weren't they one of the bands in our last episode we talked about?
They could have been. They could have been. The album is called Sphincter Society. So a play on their word, I guess, Sphincter Society. This is the third album from Time to Kill Records. This is for fans of like any sort of grindcore, Rectal Smegma. There's a grindcore band that actually sounds a lot like them, and I think they have a great name, and I probably should have picked them on the last episode, but their fucking name is Aborted Hitlercock. So this is grindcore, so either you like it or you don't. Then we have Fragments of Unbecoming. This is really close to being a pick. Their album is called Dawnbring. Chapter 7, The Amber Emperor. Kind of a long fucking name. This is Melodeath from Laudenbach, Germany, the 7th album from Apostasy Records, and my first exposure to them, and their 7th album. Again,
yeah, I really like that one
I'm
too,
not sure.
to be honest. It's a little bit bloated, and that's really the reason
it has
as
moments,
a pick,
yeah.
but I would say 80% of it's really good. Yeah. It's just there's like some bloat on some of the songs.
Yeah, if you like bands like Night Rage or At the Gates or the older In Flames, you'll probably like this. Then we have Shadow Host, Chaos Unleashed. They're from Moscow, Russia. 6th album from Time Journey Records. This is for fans of Sanctuary, Metal Church, or Nevermore. If you like any of those bands, you're going to find something here to like. Then we have Manigance. 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 I don't know what that means. The album is called L'Âme de Fond. Progressive power metal. Their 9th album from Very Chords Records. If you like Symphony X, Pagan's Mind, or Camelot, you will find a lot to like here. I have a hard time with this one because it's female vocals, but it's one of the best versions of female vocals that I've heard in a very long fucking time in this genre, this progressive power metal genre. Mm-hmm. Because usually it sounds way too flowery whenever they have female vocals in this genre. But this one here, she has a little bit of aggression in her voice, and I really dug that. Next, we have a band called Savaged. The album Rising. We have heavy speed metal from Barcelona, Spain. This is their 2nd album from No Remorse Records, and I'm a big fan of that label, No Remorse. This is for fans of, again, Enforcer, Accept, or Striker. Yeah, tons of stuff here. Then the final 2 that I have on my list is, I'm going to say them both at the same time. We got Trivax and Monumentum Damnati. And the reason I'm mentioning both of these together is these are really good albums, but both of them have like 4 or 5 fucking instrumentals. And that just so fucking ruined. The other songs that aren't instrumentals are fantastic. The instrumentals just really bring this down. And I'm not exactly sure. I mean, I get putting 1 or 2 instrumentals even, if you fucking have to, but Jesus Christ, 4 or 5, that's too damn many.
Yeah.
But your mileage may vary. If that doesn't bother you, if instrumentals don't bother you, you will probably love both of these albums.
No, I completely agree with you. Like, I really liked the Trivax album, the Monumentum. It was okay. I didn't like it as much, but both of them did suffer from that problem.
Yeah. And Trivax is, oddly enough, from Tehran, Iran, which I thought was kind of, you usually don't hear a lot of metal bands from Iran. This is their third album from Osmos Productions, so they're on a legit fucking named label. So we all know who they are. And if you like, for Trivax, if you like Behemoth, Septic Flesh, Vader.
Yeah, I hear all that.
That's right there. And Monumentum Damnati, if you like Cradle of Filth, Rotting Christ, or Nightfall, you're going to like this. So, and that's all of my honorable mentions.
All right, well, moving on to mine then. The first one I'm going to talk about is Rivers of Nile, their self-titled album. So I have to talk about this because I love Rivers of Nile. They've been a favorite band of mine for a long time. Where Owls Know My Name is a progressive death metal masterpiece, one of my favorite albums of all time. The work is only a couple points behind Owls, in my opinion. There's like one okay song, and then the rest of it is just masterclass. But the self-titled album, for me, was a little bit of a letdown. There are still amazing songs on the album, but there's also a lot of songs that aren't as good. And then there's one song on there that I just absolutely don't like at all. And there's something to be said because Jake left the band and they replaced him with Andy Thomas from Black Crown Initiate doing the harsh vocals. And I don't really like Andy's vocals as much as Jake's. But if all that Jake was contributing was vocals and not any actual writing credits, then I wouldn't think the band would have shifted this drastically. They've shifted away from doing like a 80-20 split with like growls versus cleans, or even maybe like 60-40, to probably 80-20 the other direction. It's a lot of clean vocals. And Brody, their bass player who does the cleans, he has an incredible voice. Like, he's a great clean singer. There's just too much of it. There's not enough diversity in the vocal delivery on the album, in my opinion. And it was a little bit disappointing. Like, the singles that came out were great, and those are my favorite songs on the album. I just wanted so much more. I expected so much more. It's also not as well put together as their previous albums, and I know the other ones were all concept albums, so they had more of a flow, but this one doesn't. It's just kind of a smattering of songs, and some are good and some are okay. My biggest problem is the song American Death, which Angry Metal Guy put out a pretty scathing review of the album as a whole, but they had this identifier that clicked in my mind because the whole time I was listening to American Death, I was hearing this chorus that I knew I had heard before, but I couldn't figure out from where. And then Angry Metal Guy identified it as being directly plucked out of a Mushroomhead song. And while I don't listen to Mushroomhead on the regular, there was a brief period back in the early 2000s when I did listen to some of their stuff, and I knew I had heard that chorus before. And honestly, the vocal delivery from Rivers is exactly the same as it is for Mushroomhead, and it's the exact same words sang the exact same way. So that was a little disheartening. Overall, though, I mean, it's still like a 7 out of 10 album. It's a good, solid, progressive death metal album. More clean singing than my taste, but not the Rivers of Nile that I know and love. So wanted to put it as an honorable mention. I definitely had to talk about it because people that know me know how much I love that band, and I think they were expecting it to be a pick. But those are the reasons that it's not. So there you go. I'm still going to go see him next week. So
yeah, I mean, even if you wouldn't have made him an honorable mention, I would not have. I did not like this record. It just did not work for me at all. I had a really hard time with this. And even as I was listening to it, I'm sitting there and I was like, Justin, man, he's gonna have to jump through some hoops to like this.
I'm gonna be honest, it hurt because I had such high expectations and I love the band so much that when I finally heard it, it was a little bit devastating because they've changed so much from what I know and love. But on the flip side, we have a lot of friends that didn't like Owls, that didn't like the work, and there's a lot of people I've seen on the Twitter sphere and Blue Sky and Threads. And a lot of people are raving about this, and they have it as their album of the year, and they're saying it's the best progressive death metal release of the year, and yada yada. So it's getting a lot of accolades, and I'm glad the band is getting some recognition and discovery from new people and stuff, because this will lead other people to discover Owls, which is one of the fucking best albums ever made. But at the same time, I can't help but feel a little sad about it. So
yeah, it's a perfect example of it's not just made for one person, and it doesn't work for you and I, but apparently it works for a lot of other people. And you know, that's fine.
I think the prog
that's
fans,
fine.
the people that don't really like the death metal stuff, they're like, oh yeah, it's like 80-20 now, so I can appreciate it at a different level because of the progressive elements. And I mean,
if nothing else,
it doesn't make sense to me because I don't like the clean singing as much.
Yeah. I mean, if nothing else, this will make it easier for, I know it sounds like a derogatory term, but normies that don't usually listen to harsh vocals.
This is a good stepping stone for the people that fall in love with Blood Incantation to just dive deeper into stuff. Yeah. I get that.
Yeah.
And I don't begrudge that one bit, but for my personal taste, it is a little...
Yeah, it's just not for... It's just not for me. So, and that's fine.
Their next album is more of a return to form.
Yeah.
Anyhow, moving on, the next band I wanted to talk about is Svart Vinter. It's atmospheric black metal from Italy, their second full-length album since 2021. These guys are on Non-Serviam Records. So these guys aren't doing anything groundbreaking. They're not reinventing the wheel. They're not doing anything that makes them stand out as far as a black metal album. But their album is very succinct, no bloat, very polished, very thorough, and just a lot of fun to listen to. Like, it's exactly what you look for when you're trying to find an atmospheric black metal album. And it really doesn't get a whole lot better than this. I do think that if they made the songs a little more varied, they could add a little more flavor to the album. But at its core, it's exactly what I look for when I'm looking for a black metal album. So it's really quite good. And if you like atmospheric black metal, you should definitely check it out.
I dug that one a lot.
Next is the band Degenerate. They put out an album called Rituals of Rage. This is melodic thrash / groove from the Netherlands. Their second full-length album since 2016. These guys are currently unsigned. It's a killer album for an unsigned band. There's so many catchy songs, like great riffs. It's a really fun melodic thrash metal album, almost reminiscent of like early In Flames, if In Flames was the thrash metal band.
Yeah.
A lot to appreciate there. Next is the band Surujula, Surujula. They put out an album called Murtuneet, Murturneet. Death metal from Finland, their second full length since 2022. Another surprisingly unsigned band. This album needs editing, but it's like 75% great. Some of the songs are a little bit bloated, but if you're looking for some heavy, dark death metal, this is pretty good. I think you'll find a lot to like here. Next is the band Velja Surma. I picked all the hard names. Veljessurma. They put out an album called Haltioisan. Haltioissaan. Black metal from Finland. Their debut LP since 2020 on Nature Mocked Productions. So this is another one. Editing would be their friend. The good parts on this are absolutely fucking stellar. There's some really incredible ideas in this black metal album. And there were times when I was listening to it, it's like, how could this not be a pick for me? This is so fucking good. But then I would hear the next song and it'd be like bloat. And so keep going, guys. Like, please keep making more music because like there's so much interesting stuff happening here that I really dug. There's also some parts that are a little bit boring and stretched out. So if you tweak it a little bit, I mean, you're right there. I really dug this. Next is the band Sombretour, Sombretour. They put out an album called To Any World Beyond the Tomb. This is melodic doom / death metal from France. It's the solo project of a guy named Jeremy Goyette, another unsigned band. This is another album that's just full of really incredible ideas. And this is an album that I would listen to and go, wow, this is absolutely fucking brilliant. And then I would listen to it again and go, I don't like this very much. I couldn't make up my mind how I felt about it because the melodic death parts are mind-blowingly good. And the melodic doom parts, I think, were just a little too slow and kind of lulled me out of my appreciation for it. So I still don't really know how I feel about this album because I would hear it and love it and then hear it and be disinterested. But sometimes I'm loving it. So maybe it'll be exactly in your wheelhouse if you like Death Doom. If you like Death Doom, check it out. And then the final honorable mention is a new EP from a band called Velvet Cross called Blood Consumer. That's the name of the album. This is a side project of the boys from Sidon, along with a couple of other dudes called Entity 9 and Entity X. Don't really know where they're from, but it's a 4-track EP. very reminiscent of Sidon, at least on the first song. Very reminiscent of Vampirska kind of throughout. It's kind of a hybrid of those two bands. You get a lot of keyboards, you get a lot of fast, punky style black metal kind of mixed in. It's really short because it is an EP. I kind of wish there was more of it, but it's very good. And if you like Sidon or you like Vampirska, I think you'll dig it. So, speaking of Sidon.
Yes. Do my little concert review. Friday night, I drove to Kansas City to go see Sidon and Tomarum. I got there super early, a lot earlier than I anticipated being there. But luckily, Sidon and Tomarum were already there, and they were in the process of loading shit into the venue. And so I got a chance to talk to, the Tomarum outside the venue. I brought all my vinyl with that I hadn't had signed, and got all that signed. And one of the guitarists, he signed the outer sleeve, and the other guys gave him all sorts of shit about it. Like, oh, see, you ain't none too bright, are you? They're like, hey, you just signed the outer sleeve, right? And I was like, well, that's okay, because now I got a collectible outer sleeve. How do you like that?
Yeah.
But yeah, the show was fantastic. I mean, Sidon oh my God, they have leveled up so fucking much. They are so fucking tight.
I felt the same way when I saw them a few weeks ago. I mean, their performance is so tight. They're so good. And they didn't even have their standard bassist with them when I saw them. They had, a stand-in, and he was great too. I mean, they were just killer.
And I think one of the best things about the evening was I still had, from their second ever show, I had a picture that my daughter took and of Splatterpunk and Hundasai in Iowa City. Their second ever gig. They'd played the night before in Chicago, and then the second one they played at a coffee shop. Of all places, a coffee shop. But so I took a picture, and if you go to our Facebook page, you'll see the picture because I posted from that one. We recreated the picture. Yeah, I had them recreate the picture for me, and like they just look so fucking different because that first picture, they seriously, like you could tell that they haven't really figured out their look yet, and they had that kind of deer in the headlights look. I mean, my wife said, Jesus Christ, what are they, 12?
It's pretty cool to see how much they've changed just in the last 4 or 5 years, and man, they've leveled up as musicians so many times.
Yeah. And luckily, I'm going to see them 2 more times this month. They're going to be in Iowa City, I think on the 27th. And my daughters live there, so I'm going to go down there and spend some time with my daughters, and then force them to go to the show because neither of them like metal. But they'll tolerate it, but they don't really care for it. But I'm going to make them go. So we'll go to that, and then the very next night they're actually going to be here in Des Moines at a place called Lefties. And I asked them how you pronounce this band's name. It's TRHA, and they said they think it's just Tra. Because the whole time I'm thinking in my head, Traha, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense because there's no A in there. But whatever.
It's just like MGLA. You just say the letters.
Migla. Yeah. So I'll be seeing them twice more. But luckily, we did see, I did see, Tomarum, which you were quite jealous about.
I'm so jealous, man.
Holy fuck. They crushed. I was shocked at how tight they were. And far and away, I know that they're mainly known for their guitars. They have some phenomenally amazing guitar parts in all of their fucking records. But live, to me, what really stood out was the drummer. I mean, oh my God. It seriously sounded like the dude had 6 fucking arms. His drum rolls are so fucking tight and so fast. I'm literally 8 feet away, and I'm just staring as he's doing his drum rolls, and I'm like, geez, you can hardly see his hands fucking move. They're moving so fucking fast. And I'm just like, every other song, I'm just like, oh my God. Like, he's got to be sore as fuck after this.
And they're doing it every night across the U.S. for a while.
So if you even remotely have the opportunity to see either one of these bands, I would assume if you're listening to this podcast, you easily know Sidon and Tomarum, and you're probably, if they're anywhere near you, you're going to go. They said so far it was only their second show, and they said they had like 60 people the first night in St. Louis, and there was probably about that in Kansas City. I mean, it's very small venues. I mean, the venue I was at last night, it was called Mini Bar, and they're not joking when they call it a mini bar, because I think
it's so crazy
on the website, it says the most it can hold is 100 people.
Like, so I know both bands are still relatively new bands with not massive established fan bases, but the level of musicality from both of them is just like so good that they should be playing to packed 1,000 people rooms, not 60 people at a small venue. I mean, both bands are so insanely talented. It's crazy to me. But I'm sure they'll get there. I'm sure they'll get there.
Yeah, hopefully. And I mean, like we always say, music is cyclical, and the level of talent here is completely off the chart. And I really should have wrote down who the opener was, because the opener was actually really fucking good too. They didn't have any vinyl or anything, so I didn't buy it. But that's my little mini review of Sidon and Tomerum. And like I said, if you are anywhere near either one of those bands at any time, do yourself a favor and do not miss that show. You will be shockingly impressed.
All right, well then let's go ahead and move into our topic for the episode. So the topic is going to be labels, and the impetus for having this as our discussion is what's going on with Archspire at the moment. If you're not familiar, they recently lost their drummer, and they hired a new one. They actually acquired Spencer from Eveale as their new drummer after holding a trial for anybody to submit to try to get hired for the fastest band alive, as they like to call themselves. And they posted a couple of videos of Spencer working on new material, and good Lord, is he blisteringly fast. So, I mean, he seems like a really good choice for that band. Although I know Eveale's looking for a new drummer now too. And it's been kind of funny because I don't know if you saw that Cattle Decapitation canceled their European tour, but somebody made Cattle Decapitation bingo and posted it in one of the death metal meme groups. And one of the squares was the Cattle Decap drummer left to join Eveale as one of the, as one of the things. I don't think it's real, but it made me laugh either way. But circling back, Archspire recently decided that for their next album, they're going to finance the whole thing through crowdfunding. So they created a Kickstarter. They made their marks. They earned enough money through the platform to afford studio time and whatever equipment they need, and pay their utilities and rent while they work on the album and things like that. And there's kind of a backlash from a lot of the metal community saying, why do you need all this? Like, you could just record it in a different band's garage if you wanted to, or spend $1,000 and buy your own recording setup at your house and just do it there. Like, you don't need all this money. And Archspire's kind of fired back and said, well, every time we put out an album, what the label has given us an upfront to buy all this stuff so that we can build the album and create it and have time to make it exactly how we want it. And so we're just following that same path. We're just trying to do it from our fans rather than through the label. That way we own our music. And that was the big point of contention, is that they want to be able to own their music instead of having the record label have control over it, which a lot of bands have taken that route in the past. I mean, Trent Reznor, who we talk about fairly often, he created his own record label, Nothing Studios, so that he could do the same thing because Interscope was taking advantage of him. So it's a long-standing thing in the music industry that musicians want to own their music rather than have the label have control over it. And crowdfunding seems like a pretty reasonable way to achieve that goal. That said, I know there's tons and tons of bands out there that would never get discovered if they didn't have a label behind them pushing out their music. And I mean, we talk about labels all the time on the show, all these smaller bands and the labels they're on, and we're always kind of surprised that unsigned bands, and unfortunately those unsigned bands have a way lower chance of getting discovered or getting any sort of publicity or whatever, just because there's not that industry push behind them. I mean, we do what we can, but we're a small podcast trying to promote them. At least the underground takes care of its own, but it's not enough, right?
Yeah, you're not going to make a living off of this.
Right, but I mean, hopefully anybody who is making music can at least supplement their income, or maybe make a living to the point where they could live lean, just on music. I think Archspire is a pretty well-known band at this point, which is really the only reason that they can make this move, basically firing their label and setting it out on their own. If they tried to do this, 10 years ago before they were established, I don't think it would have worked. They have to have the fan base to begin with. So I don't know. that was kind of just why I wanted to have this conversation. I know Christian's put a lot more effort into looking up things to talk about than I have. It's been a whirlwind of a couple of weeks for me, just in my personal life and with work and everything. So I have not had as much time to prep as I typically would. But Christian, what do you got? I know you have things to talk about.
I got lots of stuff. I got massive amounts of stuff because at first I was just looking into this and getting some examples, like what's good about having a label versus crowdfunding versus like doing all this on your own versus having a label, the good parts, the bad parts. And I brought some of these examples together. And then I actually did some deep dives into some groups that have done this. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. One of the ones that it really works really well for is Devin Townsend. And I'll get to that. But one of the first things that and you mentioned it right away, is you have creative control versus financial support. In the crowdfunding area, that allows bands to retain full creative control over their music, their artwork, the release schedules. And then I found out that there's actually a platform out there that helps metal bands specifically called the Metal Crowd. And it's dedicated to metal. And they enable artists to fund recordings while keeping ownership of their masters, which I completely understand. They wrote it, so they would like to own it. I get that. But on the other hand, if you have a record label, they provide upfront financial support, advances with, I don't know, studio time, the marketing behind it all.
Coordinate tours.
Yeah, they set everything up for you. But this often imposes creative restrictions, such as they're going to put deadlines up there, maybe stylistic expectations. I don't think that's near as big a thing as it used to be. Like if there's
maybe
a band
not in the metal genre and pop and stuff, they definitely have more input on what gets released because they want hits. So they're going to bring hit makers in to adjust your music so that it is what they want. But
and back
metal,
in the day,
I think they're a little bit more about the artist's control. It's
nowhere near as big a thing as it used to be. But I remember very, very clearly Celtic Frost and their album Cold Lake. They were forced by the record company to do that. And they've even mentioned this multiple times at this point. But so like there's good parts and bad parts of both of this.
Yeah.
But, that's just one of the things. And I think Archspire is doing that. They want to own their own shit. And I don't understand why people are having any sort of backlash with this.
I don't either.
They shouldn't care one way or the other as long as they're listening to the music. Who gives a shit?
If you don't want to support their funding, you don't have to.
Then
There's
don't.
nothing if you just want to buy their music to listen to it later, then buy their music or don't. I mean, you can just stream it when it's available. It's going to be on Spotify just like everything else. So, I mean, the level of support you want to give to bands is entirely up to the listener. It always has been. But, I mean, for people like me and Christian, we're the kind of guys that drop hundreds of dollars at every concert we go to help the bands continue to tour. We buy merch. We buy records. We love this music. It's a major part of both of our lives. And so we want to see it continue. We want to see the bands we love keep making music, keep being able to tour, keep being able to generate great merch. So we have no problem spending that money. And people that crowdfund and pitch in to make sure that a band they love makes new music, I mean, that makes perfect sense to me. The people that don't, that's totally fine too. That's their choice. There's no requirement to do that to support them. It's just weird that there's a big backlash. I mean, if a band had a history of misappropriating funds or something like Winter Sun, I get why there's some animosity there because it took 10 times longer than it should have for the album to get released, and then the album that got released kind of sucked. I mean, I get it in that scenario, but with a band like Archspire, who's consistently put out good music and has no history of doing anything shady and is being very transparent about how they're spending the money, I just don't see a problem.
Yeah. I mean, like you said, if you don't want to support it, you don't have to. There's no reason to get upset about it. Hey, if they can get crowdfunded like that, more power to you. And that leads to ownership and long-term revenue, which with crowdfunding, artists keep 100% of their copyrights and royalties, benefiting from, of course, direct sales. They even get their streaming, which isn't a lot of money, just so you all know. Artists hardly make dick off of streaming. And licensing deals. You can make some money off of licensing deals. That's actually what Devin Townsend does. But you have examples like Winter Sun actually have that dispute with Nuclear Blast, and that highlights how labels can or might claim rights even over crowdfunded work. Because Winter Sun was signed to a deal, and they crowdfunded anyway. I could go into way more detail about that, but that could actually
there's a lot of articles about it. They could just go read it if they want to.
That could take multiple episodes. But labels will own the masters and take significant cuts of royalties. Some tracks will allow artists to reclaim rights after 35 years. That's something that came out, and I found this out in 1978. There was a law that was passed that allows artists to reclaim rights after 35 years. But legal battles are still common, even with that law in effect. There's still issues going back and forth about that. Then you have fan engagement, community building with crowdfunding. That strengthens fan relationships by offering exclusive rewards that you're probably going to get. Early access, maybe you're getting some merch, maybe some VIP experiences. I've seen a lot of that stuff. And this company, the Metal Crowd, they even allow fans to share in the revenue if you put up enough money. So it's complete, like you can run it as a business if you fucking want. While record labels provide broader exposure, what you were talking about earlier, some of these really small bands kind of need that, because if you're doing this completely on your own, you got to hustle. And you're not willing to do that amount of hustle, you're not going to go anywhere, because record labels have employees that do all this shit.
Yeah, so, I mean, a podcast is not the same thing as a band, but there are some similarities about being a grassroots sort of thing. Like, we've spent a lot of time on this project ourselves. We run the website, we do all the social media promotion, we do all the posting and fan interaction. Like, it's a whole separate job to just do the promotional stuff as it is to create the content. And I mean, that's true with anybody who creates anything nowadays on the internet. And I can't imagine that musicians have the time to write music and edit it and get it all professionally programmed how they need it to, create vinyls, coordinate with distribution centers, coordinate with tours, and at the same time do all the social media promotion for their band. Like, it's too much. Even if you have a division of labor within the band, it's too much because everybody's got their own personal lives and everything on top of it. So, I mean, you almost have to have a manager or a social media person working behind the scenes who's not actually part of the band to do that kind of stuff at that level, I think. And crowdfunding certainly would allow them to hire that person, but the labels already have a whole team that's ready and willing to do that kind of stuff for them.
Yep. Yeah, the biggest issue that I see with record labels and community building is you're going to get quite a bit of impersonal marketing, because the label probably doesn't know the guys in the band as well as they can bring themselves out. So you're not going to get that deeper.
Well, that's very dependent on the label, right? If we're talking about Century Media, I agree with you. If we're talking about AOP Records, I don't think that's the case at all, because AOP's basically created by one dude. He found all these other amazing bands in the Germany, Austria region that are all making similar sorts of music, and as far as how he promotes the bands, it's typically by encouraging them to cross-promote on each other's albums. Every time Furton puts out an album, there's a Harakiri song on it. Every time Groza puts out an album, there's a Furton song on it or a Harakiri song on it. Like, there's a lot of cross-promotion between the bands on that label, and I think that's a great approach for helping people discover new music once they already have their foot in the door with one of those already existing bands. And, I mean, that's only one methodology. There's a lot of other things I've seen from smaller labels to try to get their bands exposed. We're on a lot of mailing lists. We get a lot of PR companies reaching out to us, and the PR companies, there might be different companies that work with multiple labels, so we'll get 2 copies of the same promos from different places and stuff like that sometimes. And some of them, like Century Media's guys, they're very impersonal. They're just like, here's the information, here's the band, cover it or don't. And then, like, other smaller ones, they're like, hey, Justin, how's it going? I haven't talked to you in a little while. Thanks for doing the review on X, Y, or Z. Here's another band that's kind of like that one. You think anybody on your team would want to cover it? And, like, you build a real, somewhat personal relationship with these PR companies, because the people that are running them are also just fans that like the same music you like. And they begin to understand what you're a fan of and try to steer that sort of music your way. So there's so many moving parts in the industry. It's very interesting to just look at the behind the scenes of it all in general.
And that's actually why I went on this deep dive, because I mean, it was like an onion. You just peeled back more and more layers. Like, I actually looked into Kickstarter because one of the things that I have written down is risk and sustainability. Because in crowdfunding, you know, high effort with no guarantee of success. And I found out that only 50% of Kickstarter music campaigns actually meet their goals. So half of them fail. So it's not a guarantee that you're going to fucking hit this. Or like Archspire got it pretty quick, but they're kind of a known band.
Yeah, if you're already established, it's a lot easier.
You're kind of screwed.
I mean, I used to be very heavily involved in the comic book industry too, and established comic book artists or writers, if they ventured out on their own and tried to create a Kickstarter to raise money, they'd set a goal of like $30,000 and they would crush it. By day 2, they'd be at $140,000 and they'd be overfunded, be able to provide a lot of great rewards and make all of their fan base happy. It happened every single time. But then you see like thousands and thousands of small guys trying to create a comic that are asking for $3,000 and they'll have like $150 sitting on their pledge. Their mom contributed and that's all they got. So, I mean, it takes a lot of like self-starting to promote if you're not already well established, if you're trying to do it yourself. Now, if you just make excellent music and a label hears it and they acquire you and they do all that for you, like that's kind of the dream path nowadays, I think. But I have no problem with an established band going the Archspire route, because I do think that the bands should own their music in perpetuity, because you never know when the tides are going to turn and metal is going to become popular again. I mean, it could happen. You never know when a movie is going to get made that is going to source that music and it's going to be a big payday for the band. And now if the label owns it, they may only see a fraction of that. Licensing, like you said, is the biggest source of revenue for labels and musicians if their stuff gets picked up for other media entertainment.
Well, here's
things.
Something else that I found out. With a record label, that reduces the financial risk since they offer advances. But this, I did not know this was a thing, but this may leave artists in debt if albums underperform, because labels will put recoupment clauses in their contracts. So you got to be careful, because if they're going to give you, I don't know, $20,000 up front and your album only sells $10,000 worth of fucking records, they want their money back. So you may owe them this money. So read those contracts really fucking close. So that's one of the things that can also happen. I'm not leaning on one side or the other on this. I mean, I guess if you sign a great record deal, be careful what you sign. But I don't know, a lot of these bands don't have that kind of leverage.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about metal too. Like, I mean, the recoup clauses and stuff, I really can't see that applying to metal, because, I mean, like, take a label like Season of Mist, right? They're acquiring mid-tier metal bands. They're not going after Slayer. They're not going after Metallica. They're getting small to mid bands that are going to build their audience as time goes by. And so if they're funding $20,000, that's not really that much money. It's a lot of money, but it's not really that much money. I don't think that they expect those small guys to pay that money back. Now, if you're a pop star and you're expected to sell 100,000 records and you only sell 20,000 because you went on some Nazi rant on TV, yeah, that makes sense for them to have a clause there so they can recoup their money because you did damage to their industry, to their expected profits. I think that approach only really applies to like larger, more commercial acts. Metal is inherently underground, so it's not going to be treated the same way. Now, I don't think there's a right way or a wrong way to do it. As some of the contrarians who are arguing with Archspire say, yeah, you can buy a Scarlet box and just record it all in your frickin' living room if you want to, and that's fine. There's plenty of bands that we discover every single week that are recorded in some guy's garage or living room that are fucking phenomenal. There's so much good music that's being put out by solo projects, but not everybody's an audio engineer, and maybe the guys in Archspire don't feel like they have those skills and they want to hire a professional to do it. Maybe they've already established a certain level of quality and they want to maintain that, so they're going to go with somebody they know who charges a certain amount rather than trying to fumble through it themselves. But that said, there's no right or wrong way. Like, take Steve Weiner from Am I in Trouble and Negative Bliss and Ashenheart. Like, we talked about his bands, all of his bands on the show at some point or another. They're all DIY guys. They've all recorded it themselves and put it out. He's made some agreements and had vinyls put out with other publishing companies and things like that. But when they recorded everything, they just did it themselves. And it sounds amazing. It sounds perfect. So there is no right or wrong way. And I wouldn't begrudge any band for choosing any of those paths.
And actually, because I was looking into Devin Townsend, and I think his approach is actually perfect. And it's kind of a hybrid approach between the two, because he crowdfunds, but then he licenses the music to labels after crowdfunding, balancing the independence as well as getting the industry support that he gets from the label. But he still owns all his own shit. He just licenses it to this record label or that record label.
But
and he's
Devin Townsend. I mean, there's maybe 10 guys in the metal. Yeah. There's like 10 guys in the metal world that could do that deal. I mean, he's been around for 30 years. Well established. I mean, he was the inspiration for one of the main characters in Death Clock. Like, it's like Devin, everybody knows who Devin Townsend is. A lot of non-metalheads probably know who Devin Townsend is. So it's not terribly surprising that he can get himself a sweetheart deal. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure Michael Ackerfeld could too. But, there's a lot of other bands that couldn't get something that good.
Yeah, and you got I think one of the most important things for bands out there when you're talking to a label about signing a record deal is clarify 100% the IP ownership in all of your contracts. Make that your number one priority. And if the label or record company is not willing to budge on that, then do it yourself. Either that or try and find a different record label. Just until you can find that level, I honestly don't think it's going to go anywhere. I mean, there's other things that I could go into more detail on, but I think we're already running a little bit long. And all of this just goes into a lot of the same things about what's good, what's bad. And all of it really boils down to, are you willing to hustle? And there's not a one-size-fits-all for any of this.
Right.
Like Amiensis, like you were talking about bands that recorded amazing albums completely on their own. Amiensis did that. Tomerum did that.
Even Kogus. We were talking about Kogus this year. That album is fucking phenomenal. And it was just recorded on their own. They don't have a label. They can't afford to put out vinyls or anything, which sucks. I mean, I wish that they had more support, but they're just starting out. So maybe it'll come in the future. At least there are a lot of things like us that do try to help those unsigned, undiscovered, underground bands find an audience. So, I mean, we're doing our part. I know a lot of other podcasters and reviewers that do similar things. And so I just really love the community of people that try to support each other in the metal community, especially the underground side of it. So at least there's us.
Yeah. And I mean, I do have one other thing. I found out that they have something called 360 deals now, where labels take a percentage of everything. Merch, touring endorsements, anything. And these are becoming increasingly common, but very risky. Gojira actually had something similar, and it did not end well. Let's just put it that way. Yeah. So they're the only metal band that I saw that had one of these type of deals. So maybe it's not as common in the metal genre as it is elsewhere, but
that's what it takes to get on the Olympics.
Yeah, I guess.
That's what it takes to get on the Olympics.
Hey, millions of people saw you that day. So I think I'd pay for that. So there's definitely some success stories, of course. Devin Townsend, even Amon Amarth, their Jom's Viking album in 2016. Their strategy was funding early albums independently before signing with Metal Blade. And later they used Pledge Music for deluxe editions. The outcome of that, they proved that DIY roots can coexist with label backing, but they still own their early catalog, which that's where the money's at. Well, once you become a band the size of Amon Amarth, if you become popular, then you're actually negotiating from an area of strength rather than like just trying to take anything that you can possibly get.
It's cool that there's no one way, there's no right way or wrong way. I love that there's this DIY attitude and people can just record in their basements or their kitchens now. And it's generating so much great music. I mean, that's why the last couple of years has just been overfilled with amazing albums, because there are so many that are born out of the pandemic that people recorded remotely and just put it all together and stuff like that. So it's cool. It's a nice new era of underground metal, and I'm all here for it. So
yeah, like we keep saying, the barrier to entry is a lot smaller. So that's where a lot of this great music's coming from. And a lot of these bands, I in the 80s, when I was a teenager and getting into heavy metal and all that, there's no way half of these bands would have existed.
Definitely not.
So it definitely has its good points, and it definitely has some of its bad points, because there's a lot of people out there making money off of the backs of the hard work that these artists are putting in, and they're not offering a whole lot. I mean, I use Spotify every fucking day. It's the only way I can make my playlist all the fucking time. And that's not the only music service that I use. And because Spotify doesn't always have everything.
But we also directly support the artists. So
yeah. Yeah.
I wish everybody did. I wish everybody did. I mean, the unfortunate thing is that a lot of people don't, or a lot of people can't afford to. I mean, the economy's in the toilet for everybody. People are out of work. It's hard for everybody out there, including musicians. So people can't afford to support the bands like they used to or like they want to. So the ones of us that can, should. It's kind of how I look at it. But anyways, that was a good discussion. Hope you guys enjoyed all that.
A little bit deeper than last week.
Yeah, definitely a little bit deeper than the last few have been. Anyways, let's talk about our pickups real quick, and then we'll close out the show with our submissions. So, you picked up anything cool recently, Christian?
Yeah, at my local shop, I found a Power Trip Live album that I picked up. Racer X, their second album from Josh Rand's collection, who apparently is the guitarist for, I think I mentioned this before, he's the guitarist for Stone Sour. Apparently, Stone Sour isn't paying very well because he sold his entire vinyl collection to a local shop. I also picked up an Unleashed album, and of course, the Haunted album, the new one I got, and then the And Oceans album showed up. I've pre-ordered some other things that aren't here yet. I bought way too much merch at the Sidon show. I bought all 3 shirts from Sidon. I bought all 4 shirts from Tomerum. And funny thing, a funny little story about this. I get home and I don't see a charge on my credit card for the Tomerum shirts. And I'm like, what the fuck? Maybe it just didn't populate yet. And I waited till the morning and I was like, son of a bitch, it's still not on there. So I actually emailed the guys in Tomerum and it's like, hey, did that payment not go through? Can you check your PayPal or something to make sure it was in there? Because it didn't show up in PayPal. It didn't show up on my credit card, nothing. And they're like, oh, fuck, it's not here. And so I was like, oh, shit. So I had to send them the payment the next day. So hopefully they got that one. I haven't heard back from them. But
your stand-up guy, Christian, I'm sure they really appreciate it. Because like a lot of other people would have just taken the shirts.
4 free shirts. Yeah. So... But I mean, they were thanking me effusively as I was like, yeah, I'll take one of everything you have. And they were like, oh, whoa, hell yeah. Thanks, man. So, yeah, I got me 4 Tomerum shirts. I got 3 Sidon shirts, 3 more Sidon shirts from the 3 that I bought last time. They were all different. So, hey, new shirts. Yeah. And I picked up the one for you.
Sweet. Thanks, man.
That one there.
Yeah, I like that design. It's cool.
Yeah, I thought so too. Awesome. But that's all I got for pickups for now.
Well, it hasn't been a lot for me either. I've been trolling Amazon looking for good deals, and I actually found a couple. Cloak's latest album, Black Flame Eternal, I managed to snag that for $14. The double LP, limited to 200 silver edition.
Nice.
I've been wanting that album since it came out, but I never saw it for less than $40. So pretty great steal there. I was excited for that. And then,
yeah, believe it or not, I actually found that album at a used place up in Minneapolis. And that's where I picked up that album. And I got it for like $20. And it's
$20
the silver
is a great
one
deal for that one. Yeah. And then I picked up Carnal Savagery's latest, Graveworms, Cadavers, Coffins, and Bones. If you remember, we talked about that. It was an honorable mention on an episode last year. It barely fell outside of my top 50, but it's an album that I listened to a bunch last year because it's really fun, groovy death metal. So for like $12 or whatever, I couldn't really pass it up. So I'm looking forward to spinning that again too. And then, of course, I ordered the Puterion album from Miami Metal Merchant, so I'm waiting for that to show up. Very excitedly waiting for that to show up. But that's it for my pickups for this week.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's go ahead and move into our submission. So this one is coming from a new band called Eveale, Eveale. They've only released 2 singles so far, and one of them is called The Enemy, which is the track that we chose to play. This is American black metal. Not a lot's known about these guys. They all go by acronyms. One of them goes by NEWT, which apparently stands for Northeast Wizard Tyrant. Another one goes by Moth, which stands for Monarch of the Hillside. It looks like NEWT does the guitars and the bass and all the instrumentals. Moth does the vocals. And then they have another guy called the Basher of Things, which just does their drums. So some great monikers there, guys. They reached out to me on...
That would have been awesome if the Basher of Things, he just, like, breaks stuff.
Yeah. He shows up looking like Bam Bam from the Flintstones. And
Yep.
Yep. But these guys reached out to me on Ampwall as a submission, and I checked out their stuff, and I really dig it. They only have 2 tracks, like I said, but it's a great melodic black metal sound. The vocals are really good. There are some cleans on the songs, which they're good. I don't think they're quite as good as the harsh vocals, but
they're not challenging.
They're not off-putting or anything. Yeah, the cleans are definitely more challenging than the harshes. But I mean, overall, I like this, and I'm looking forward to a full album from these guys. What did you think, Christian?
I actually really dug this a lot. I think I like the second track a little bit more than the first one. I know we're playing the first one in The Enemy. Yeah. One thing that I really noticed about that track, though, that kind of surprised me is the guitar solo in that sounded like it could come straight off of a 80s era metal band, just regular heavy metal band, not black metal. And it had this weird juxtaposition between that almost clean sounding guitar solo versus how harsh the black metal is. So that's one thing that I noticed. I really dug this, and I'd definitely be interested in hearing a full album of this.
Well, I'm sure we will. Hopefully sometime later this year is what I read from the information they sent me, but I will post the Bandcamp link in the notes when I publish the episode. Also want to remind everybody to please follow us on all of our social media. This is something we always forget to say at the end of the show, but I'm going to say it this time. We're at Harsh Vocal Site pretty much everywhere. Twitter, Threads, Blue Sky, Facebook. TikTok, we are at harsh_vocals. Christian runs that, so if you're talking on TikTok, you're talking to him. Otherwise, you're probably talking to me. But yeah, please follow us. Join our Discord if you haven't. We have a link that we've published on all of our social media that'll take you straight to the Discord. We've got a pretty good community. It's about 30 people. It's growing. It's getting more and more active, and there's a lot of good conversations that happen there. So if you want to talk to us on a regular basis or ask us about new releases or just get to know our writers or anything, definitely check out the Harsh Vocals Discord. Lots of cool stuff there. And then that's pretty much it. I'm really excited about everything that's come out so far this year. Next week, we're going to be recording our best of the year so far episode. So hope you guys are excited for that, because there's been a lot of changes, maybe some unexpected surprises when that comes out.
Yep.
Anyways, let's go and play the track from Eveale. Again, this is called The Enemy. And hope you guys enjoy it, and check out their other track as well if you like it. So we will see you next time.
Yep. Metal.